Hi, this is Andy of MPRV News. Welcome to the origins of MPRV News, Part 4. 1986. After waving goodbye to New Dawn tapes and all the stress that came with it, I decided for a brief period, 6 months, maybe a year, of doing a similar label. This time now, instead of cassette tapes, I was using VHS tapes. 3 hours of footage of bands from all over the world. I was selling the tapes for around £3, and that was a bargain. But it took a lot of time to put a tape together. So back then my passion for the music and to spread it had taken over my thinking, and I had in fact increased the stress. Even though the label only lasted a brief period, my parents were cool enough to make a T-shirt up, pictured here. So unlike New Dawn tapes, I had my own T-shirt for my video label, even though it was only a brief period of existence. Around that time also, because I was seeing some of these bands, especially the touring bands, 3 or 4 times on the same tour, besides going nuts on the dance floor, I had gotten into taking the odd photograph of some of the bands. I had one of them old-fashioned thin cameras. I know a lot of people in the UK brought the Boots ones, and I just took the odd snap just for more personal use. I never considered getting a better camera because I'd not seen photographs in real life from the better cameras to judge. So for now it was just a bit of fun. As the photos suggest, I went to quite a few gigs at the Hand and Art in Coventry. Another venue Daz Russell was using besides the Mermaid. One of the gigs I went to was Government Issue from Washington DC. I became friends with a guy called Simon, who had travelled down from London with his rucksack. He had nowhere to put it at the gig, and he asked me if he could put his stuff in my car. We never met before, and he trusted me to look after his stuff and not drive off with it. We became great friends. Some people might recognise Simon as he became lead singer of the punk band in London called Suicidal Supermarket Trolleys. Although I was totally into dancing to the bands, I still picked the odd song for a breather off the dance floor to take my photographs. As time went on, Simon started bringing his own camera to show us, which was a far superior camera to mine. And when I seen the pictures developed that Simon had taken, I was blown away. He took some great action shots, but also the quality of the pictures compared to mine. I was hooked, and I wanted a camera. A good one. I didn't want a big bulky camera for the gigs. There was no barriers, no security. The crowd were all in the 20s and full of energy, stage diving. The gigs were wild and you got constantly smashed around. And it wasn't like today where you can shoot off hundreds of pictures at one show. You basically had to pay for every shot you took, and it used to work out something like £10 for the film and to have it developed. So it was an expensive hobby. Due to the expense of taking photos of very few people around the country covering punk shows and shooting a lot of photos at these shows. Because I took so many photographs, I used to keep them in albums just like this. I used to keep a record of every band I saw and the date. I could remember the venues they played visually from the photographs because I've been so many times. I sealed them up and cellophaned them in and taped round the edges. Hence the reason that I have to scan them so I lose some of the quality. This was a Gangrene Circle Jerks show at the Garage in Nottingham, a real sweatbox of a venue. That top right picture of Keith Morris is one of my favourite pictures. The one on the left at the top you're about to see of the guy diving off the speaker has a bit of history about it which I'll get to later. There is sacrilege at the Mermaid. Heibel from Belgium that was playing in this pub in the middle of nowhere in Malvern. They came over supporting the legendary Larm from Holland. He's covered in foam because it was the singer's birthday, by the way. Also on the Larm Heibel tour was Heresy from the UK. It was an intense experience seeing them three bands together. But back to that picture from earlier. The guy jumping off the speaker was Ivor the Diver. He was called that because he was always diving and jumping in the air. So I decided to have a bit of fun with him to get the ultimate photograph. I wound him up basically for weeks that his dives weren't really as big and spectacular as what his image portrayed. So when the Amoebics played Birmingham, he decided to go for it, so he got on top of the big speaker and just dived off, and I was there almost in ambush mode, ready to get the shot, and I nailed it. Years later, Birmingham Museum got in touch with me and asked permission to use the photograph in an exhibition on the Birmingham music scene. Sadly, I never got to see it in the museum because the exhibition was on at the time I was across the pond in Chicago. But some of my friends went, and apparently I was next to Black Sabbath. So that was pride in itself. Local bands started to use some of my photography on their albums. Genital Deformities used some of my photographs on the back cover of their album Shag Nasty. Decadence Within, featuring Ian Glasper, the book writer, featured some of my photographs on their inner sleeve. And also later down the line, Ian Glasper used some of my photos for his book Trapped in the Scene, UK Hardcore 1985 to 1989. And also Doom did a split record with No Security from Sweden and used some of my photographs as well. As time went on, I started getting a bond with Doom, which I'll touch on in later episodes.